If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, follow, and rate on your preferred podcast platforms. If you'd like to reach out to me, simply connect to me on Twitter. Links in the description.
You just got to have that conviction. You just got to see what you want to achieve and have that faith that working together, you're going to achieve that. Because when it comes to training, people think that, oh, my coach is going to do all the work for me. It's not like that. It's like, it's a teamwork. So me working with that person together, again, 100% energies from both sides, that's what's going to give us that result at the end. And I think that's very important.
This is Ashwin Haridas. He is a calisthenic enthusiast and a professional coach who has transformed himself and others by helping them achieve their fitness goals. He has also helped build calisthenic communities in India and abroad. In this episode, we talk about calisthenics and nutrition. Here's my conversation with Ashwin Haridas. So right now with the
Mm.
pandemic and everything, I'm sure people are at home and probably missing out their daily commute or going to the gym. So passively or actively, they're missing out on some kind of workout to their body. So I think that's where I see calisthenics is a great way to, or something that people can learn right now, because you don't really need any equipment. Even
True.
your body, even just with your body, you can push yourself quite far. So just to start
Absolutely.
off, can you tell us what calisthenics is, and who is it for, and what kind of fitness goals can somebody achieve with calisthenics?
All right. So when we talk about calisthenics, it's basically very simple. It means working out using your own body weight. So, and again, gravity plays a big role in that. So when we talk about the major movements when it comes to calisthenics, we have push, pull exercises, and then we have some explosive exercises for the legs. And again, in these pull and push, we incorporate explosive workouts as well. So calisthenics is derived from a Greek words which is callus and stanos. Callus means beautiful, and stanos obviously means strength, so beautiful strength. And again, when you see these calisthenic athletes, the feats that they're capable of, like handstand, human flag, front levers, back levers, it really looks so beautiful being able to control your body like that. So mentioning the pandemic again, I think it was an opportunity for people to kind of see the harmful effects of just sitting in one place. Like a lot of people kind of gained weight, lost control of their lifestyle, went into depression and things like that. And because they were not able to access gym, I think calisthenics was kind of the only resort that they had to kind of get back on track. So with calisthenics, basically you need zero equipment. The only thing that you would need, I would say, is maybe a parallel bar, a set of parallel bars, or a pull-up bar. Even a pull-up bar, if you have, it's more than enough. So with the pull, for sharing from my personal experience, uh, I had a pull-up bar at home and I had a set of parallel bars at home. Again, if you don't have, I was using chairs also before that. Before I had the parallel bars, I was using some two chairs of the
So
same
that's
height,
for the
and I was
dips, I'm assuming, right? The
that's
parallel
for the
bars.
dips. Yeah, parallel bars for the dips. So again, very simple. Again, it's like even if you are a beginner, you can start off with some basic exercises like inverted rows, where you keep the bar at a lower height, your legs are touching the floor, and you kind of replicate a pull up basically in that version. So you're pulling up to your chest, going back down over there. So again, people look at these videos on the internet and think calisthenics is something for advanced people, someone who's already athletic, someone who's already strong. But you have different people in the game, in the sport, who have started from zero. You'll even find guys who have transitioned from gymming to this. You have guys who were just, I don't say nerds or anything, but they were just like into books and indoors and just introverts, who transitioned into this and complete personality change. So with calisthenics, there is always progressions, there's always regressions. So whatever level you are at, you need to see, okay, for my level, what are the exercises that I'm able to do? And if you're not able to do that, break it down step by step. And that's the best way you can kind of learn these exercises, pick up. So even like I said, for example, the pull up, if you're not able to do a pull up, you do an inverted row. That's an Australian pull up. If you're not able to do a push up, start off on an inclined surface or on your knees. So there are no excuses. And again, you don't need any equipments. Like I said, just use whatever's at home over there. And talking about the mental aspect of it is, again, when you go into fitness, when you kind of work out, your body produces this natural hormones, endorphins, that kind of make you feel good. It's like as good as, I don't say negative things like when you smoke a cigarette, there's people why the reason they're addicted to it is because they get a
Yeah.
high. But it is kind of like that. You get a kick out of it
Yeah,
when you
like
work
runner's
out.
high or something like that.
Runners high, absolutely, like runners high. So you get those endorphins flowing through your blood over there, and you get that high. And when you look at yourself in the mirror after you've done a workout, or when you've pushed yourself, you see yourself sweating, you see yourself that you feel really proud of yourself that you are able to complete that workout, you're able to push yourself. And tomorrow when you unlock these skills, like you're able to do your first pull up, your first dip, trust me, the happiness knows no bounds. It's a sense of achievement that I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm competing with myself. I'm better than what I was yesterday. And I think that feeling is kind of drives people to get better in calisthenics.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
enjoy, at the end of the workout,
Mm,
especially, if I'm
mm,
sweating a lot,
mm.
that is like a goal
Yeah.
for me. I have to sweat
Yeah.
at the end of the session.
Yeah.
There's so much blood rushing to the brain and it feels so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
can definitely agree with that. And I think, yeah,
Mm,
calisthenics, especially those, handstands and,
yeah.
uh, I think you mentioned the flag, what is it
Yeah.
called? The
Human flag.
the human flag, yes. All those are
Yeah.
like pretty, like they might look simple, but they're so difficult. I've tried few. It's
it
very
it
difficult.
is it is it is I think, again, like I said, with the right guidance, and if you again break it down, the regressions and everything, definitely you will be able to achieve it over there. Because I've had a client who was he's 35, and he's a father, he has a kid, and works a 9 to 5 job and everything. He came to me, he just told, and he wasn't ripped or anything, just like a normal guy, and he was into gym workouts and everything. He tells me, uh, Ashwin, I want to learn the human flag. I now, if it was anybody else, they would have laughed, because they'll be like, he's like, I want to learn it like in 3 months. He told me. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm like, all right, fine. Let's do one thing. Let's break it down. Let's start working on a plan. So I saw what were his weaknesses, everything, what we can strengthen up for him, and slowly started going about it. So from not being able to even hold the weight on the bars to, in 3 months, I would say by the end of 3 months, he was able to hold a human flag for like 5 to 10 seconds. He was able to hold easily. And I'll send you the video at the end of the this thing session, so that you can also see. It's really inspiring. So he's inspired me as well, because when you obviously believe in the person you're training, but when you see it for yourself, it kind of lights that fire. What you're doing, actually, it bore fruits. It's like it, you can see those results over there.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you can also carry those lessons into the other things you do in life, I guess. Because I think once you
Absolutely.
push yourself and then achieve something like that, I think
Yeah.
you have that confidence to try different things.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There is one quote that's been my Instagram status for a long time. It's, if you're persistent, you will get it. If you're consistent, you will keep it. And I kind of live by that. So it's like, people are always, they go halfway and then they stop and they're like, I didn't achieve it, that's why. But the thing is, remember, you got to be persistent. There are people who are born with natural talent. You might not be born with a natural talent, but the only way that you can succeed is with hard work. That's the only thing. So I would say, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that. It's a
Mm,
bit difficult for me also to keep that
mm,
5 days plan to not
mm,
change those plans. So
mm, mm.
sometimes it might be difficult, but I think it all takes is that starting few minutes, just getting warmed up, and then after that
Yeah.
you start liking it, and then you can't stop. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And again, always have a, I would say, always, in anything in life as well, you need to have a plan of how you're going to approach the particular task. So even if it comes to working out, always have a plan in mind. Because the thing is, when you go without a plan, you don't know what you're going to do next, and that leaves your mind blank. And sometimes you will end up just doing few things and you'll stop, because you don't have a clear picture of what you want, what's the end goal. So I would say, always have an end goal in mind. This is what I want to achieve, and how you're going to, what are the steps you're going to take to achieve that. So I think that's very important. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And what about like what kind of goals or fitness goals do you think, or who is it for? Like, is it just about building this or building this core strength and to be able to do these movements, or is it an overall? Because I think it also helps
Okay.
you, perform or take part in adventure sports or climbing. I think it's a good
Uh,
starting. So that way, what else do you
Okay.
think calisthenics
So
can help with?
again, when we talk about who is it for, I would say it's for anybody looking to stay fit, anybody looking to get better. So it doesn't matter what level, because when we were running our classes, we had people from the age group of say 15-year-old kids to, we had a client who was 70 years old. So again, age is just a number when it comes to it. It's about your mindset. Now, what are the benefits of it? Again, it's you can just do light calisthenics just to keep fit. You can, again, depends on the type of training that you do, you can put on muscle with it, given that you follow proper diet as well. And again, don't overcomplicate it. And when it comes to athletes as well, so with calisthenics, I feel that in a way it gave me the strength, basic strength required for the sport. But once you get into the sport, you got to learn the skill of the sport. So it's like, obviously one person may be good at football, but he might not have the strength and stamina to play the game for 90 minutes, whereas another person will maybe physically fit to play the game for 90 minutes because he's done calisthenics. Only thing he needs to do is get into the game, learn the skills, dribbling, attacking, defending, whatever it is, he playing with the team, he just got to learn. I find that with calisthenics you kind of build that sort of mind muscle coordination to play, that stamina, to go the mile like that. So I feel with calisthenics you're kind of built for every sport, you know and that's what
Because
I have noticed personally.
I think it also includes a lot of flexibility movements and helping
It
your
does, it
joints
does.
move.
Incorporating, I feel like uh, you need to, with calisthenics it's more of like they'll focus on a lot of strength. Mobility and flexibility is kind of something that as an individual, depending upon, obviously everyone needs to do it, but depending upon where you are, if you're not very flexible, then I would say you got to spend more time. Some people say that, oh, just doing flexibility at the start, like dynamic warm-ups and static cool downs at the end of my workout is enough. But I would say flexibility itself, you got to consider it like a workout. You got to spend one day, or like 40 minutes at least, or to half an hour to 45 minutes at least, doing flexibility and mobility drills. Because tightness, if you look at it nowadays, in this IT era, you find a lot of people sitting down in front of computer screens end up with hunchbacks and everything. So I feel like number one thing is they don't stretch, they don't exercise at all. And I feel at least if they start doing this, it's going to improve their lifestyle a lot.
So before recording, we were talking about your childhood and how you got started. So yeah,
Yeah,
can we go through that again? Maybe you can
sure.
talk talk us through how you started this journey in calisthenics and how you built
Sure.
communities and
Yeah.
where you are with it now.
Okay, so let's start. Let's start at the very beginning. So when I was in, so I was telling you, so when I was in school itself, during my seventh standard itself, what happened? I had a crush on this girl, and just to impress her, I got into sports in my school itself. So I was into track and field. I was always interested in running, so I would take part in 100, 200, 400 meters. And there's this one incident in my life that I remember where I kind of, before while practice, I injured my leg. Uh, and despite of that, I remember on the final day, I just took part in it, saying that let me try, even if I don't finish the race, it's all right, but let me give it a shot, because I trained for it and I was really listening. And I don't know, the adrenaline was pumping in me. I remember coming third in the 400 meters race, and I still have that photo with me at home. And I'm like, shit, this is a proud moment in my life. And from there, then from there, what happened is, in 10th standard, my dad, he enrolled me in a gym. And when I got to the gym, the first thing the trainer says is just run on the treadmill. And I was like, I just came from home, to run over here makes no sense, because I'm always into outdoor, I'm always into doing something creative. And again, these machines were like, it's fine for some people, but again, for me, it wasn't my cup of tea. So I was like, you know what, maybe it's not. So I, after a month, I just left that, and I was at home. And when I was at home, I wasn't doing anything fitness wise, but I was playing games. I would play cricket with my friends, play football with them, and things like that. But fitness wise, I wasn't doing anything. That's when one day when I was on YouTube, this video suggestion that I got from Barstars, I just saw that video, and I saw these guys doing this crazy skills, muscle ups, front levers and things like that. And it got me thinking, you know what, if how are these guys able to do it? And they don't look like those gym bros, who are big and bulky, muscular. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, fine. If they can do it, maybe even I can. And that's when I was telling you that I went on this torrent website and I downloaded their instructional DVD, and I downloaded that. I had it on my phone. I would go to the park. So before I went to Coles Park, there was a park near my house itself called Chacha Park, and that park was always closed. It was always sealed off. So I would climb the fence, go in there, and they had a crooked bar. They had a parallel bar which was crooked, a crooked pull-up bar. But the pull-up bar, what I would do is I would go on the swing set and I would do it on that. So I would do pull-ups on that. I would practice dips on this. So slowly from there, I realized. Then I found out there's another park called Coles Park. I never knew about this, so my friend told me about it. So I started going there, and from there I called another friend of mine who was traveling with me to college every day. So we would share the bike and we would go to college. So his name is Deepak. So me and Deepak, what we would do is I told him, come to the park once, just see this new way of working out. It's called calisthenics. Try it out. So I would learn. I would show him, okay, see, this is what I learned today. Try it out. So the thing is, again, it's like more experimenting on myself. And then if it succeeded, then okay, fine, bro, try this out. I did this. It worked for me. So slowly started posting on Instagram saying that this is how I was, like small transformations, me learning some different kind of pull up and things like that. People start getting curious. So people from my tuition, people from my school, people from my college start messaging like, where do you work out, what do you train, and things like that. So I was like, yeah, I train at this park, 5 o'clock every evening. 5 o'clock, I remember, 4:30 I would be home from college, have my lunch. My dad would keep my lunch ready, have my lunch. I remember my stomach's full, but I would be like, no ways, I'm still going to the park. 5 o'clock, I'll be at the park and see everyone over there. They're like, okay, fine. What's the plan for today? So I had one small diary with me. I would write on the diary, this is the workout for the day, and I would keep it over there. So everyone would go like see the workout. We would have like a group warm up together, and all of us would warm up, and then each individual, depending upon your level, would go do the workout. So I would write according to my level, and I would say that if they had a doubt, they would come ask me, I don't know to do this exercise, what do I do? So I'd tell them, okay, fine, you don't know to do a pull-up, do an Australian pull-up, go to the parallel bar and do Australian pull-up. So they also were like, okay, fine, nice. So after finishing that, again, just chit chat, go have, there used to be a fruit seller outside, go have some fruits, banana or something like that. And from there, maybe go have some tea. There's this Fraser town, so you had this Savera chai and all
Yeah,
this.
really
So we
good
would go,
food and snacks there.
good food and snacks over there. So we would go work out, go have a shawarma roll or something, whatever was there, and then go home, repeat the whole process like that. Then once, what happened, a schoolmate of mine, his name is Mir. So he joined us one day, and then he was working out with us. And after some time, he's like, you know what, Ashwin, we're doing something nice over here. Why don't we share it with the world? So he's like, why don't we start a YouTube channel? So I'm like, all right, man, sounds like a brilliant idea. So I told my dad I want a camera. I just, like how you do. So he's like, what camera you want? I'm like, I want a DSLR. So he's like, all right, fine, we'll go see. So I remember going to the shop in near Brigade Road somewhere, and we go to this Nikon, and then they're like, I asked them, I want a DSLR, I don't want too fancy. And I already researched on YouTube which DSLR is a good one and this thing and all. I go there, then he's like, this DSLR 40,000. I'm like, I look at my dad, and then he's like, okay, fine, just one timer. I'm like, okay, yeah, just this one. so I bought that DSLR. I'm so happy. We start a YouTube channel, and he asked me, what do you think we should call this YouTube channel? So I'm like, you know what? We do calisthenics and we see ourselves as beasts. So why don't we just call it Calisthenic Beasts? So just a simple name, Calisthenic Beast. Made our Instagram page, everything. and it just took off from there. There was so much support from our friends and all. There were people who were making fun of it and everything, but again, ignore the naysayers, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be there for you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what, we got to see where we are going, and we just got to keep going. and and another saying that I saw was, your that I just saw just the day for yesterday or something. I saw the saying, you're always going to be criticized by people who have achieved less than you, not people who have achieved more than you. And that's a very beautiful saying, I believe. So again, ignoring all these negative comments and everything, we just kept going forward, because we were seeing the change, we were helping people. Because most of the people who would come to work out with us, they had some sort of problems, they had some sort of issues. Maybe there was some sort of disagreements at their house. To escape that negativity, they would come here and pour out all that energy in there, all that negative energy in there, and do something positive. And I felt that was one beautiful aspect of calisthenics that kind of brought that brother. It created a brotherhood, actually, more than anything. We didn't know each other that closely, but I think after that, it kind of created that bond that made us like family. So we saw calisthenics beasts as a family itself, because you work out together. We have serious times, we have fun times, we joke about, we crack jokes, and it was fun, and nobody demotivated anybody. So I made sure that you support each other. If somebody's not able to do something, don't make fun of him, help him out. So it had such good positive vibe over there. Slowly, I was like, after that, we kept the community going, and then I had ideas. So that's when I was reading about different entrepreneurs and things like that, saw different movies and all that, and you get inspired. So like, why don't I start a business out of this? So what I started doing is, if anybody wanted to learn or get coached by us, that is by one of the that's me or anybody else from Calisthenics Beast who's at an advanced level, then we'll charge you a fee for that. So we started, I remember, charging guys who were working or something like $1,000 for a month or something. And not 1,000, actually 500. I remember it was very this thing, because I didn't have any business knowledge. For 500 for them. And and whoever is a student, we would charge them 250. If you look at it, a personal trainer in Bangalore will charge you not less than 12,000 for a month, and we
Yeah.
were charging like. So we were like no business knowledge, again, just things I've heard, just stories I've heard of this. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to charge them. So we started like that. I remember we started then in Jaimal Park. They opened a park, and I remember in Jaimal Park we started taking classes over there. So me and another friend, we would wake up at like 5 o'clock, go there, take a class, finish that, get ready for college, go to college as well, like that. So people started coming from there. Slowly, we started posting. I remember printing out posters, summer camps coming up, put the summer camp up, everything. So we had like paid classes. If you couldn't afford, that's fine. You come to our free community workout. So we had like a business going, and we had a community going. So the business part of it was people who wanted professional guidance, in terms of something especially specified for them, and then we had the community where anybody can be a part of it. You come work out with us, have a good time, it was like that. So from there, it kept growing, and slowly we got some recognition that one of my friends was in calisthenics in Pune. There is a gym called Multifit. That Multifit gym was opening a branch in Bangalore now. So he recommended me for the gym. He's like, there's this guy in Bangalore, excuse me, Ashwin. So why don't you interview him? So they called me up. They're like, we're starting this gym in Indranagar. Why don't you come down over there for an interview? I went there for an interview, and the interview was basically, they're like, we want a calisthenics coach. There's nobody else in Bangalore that we know of. And Kunal from Pune recommended you. I'm like, all right, fine. Yeah, something cool. Fine. I don't mind, And I thought this was maybe like a stepping stone for me. So I took the opportunity over there, and it gave me a more professional sense of to see a business environment of how it is. So I got into that, but I still kept my community alive. I'm like, I'm not going to let go of my dream to make somebody else's dream a reality. So I was like, let me go coach over there, everything, but still keep my community alive. So I got an idea of, okay, this is how a business runs. This is how you manage it. This is how you structure your classes, fees, and everything. And just after that, I finished that. I had to go to UK. That's when I came to UK. So I just worked for 2 months at Multifit. I came to UK. I recommended another friend of mine to the gym once I was leaving, and he continued over there. So came to the UK. Before coming to the UK, though, there was this thing called the Beast Camp that was going to happen in Poland. So this is the Poland story now. This is the Beast Camp that was going to happen in Poland, and in Poland there were these guys who were going to come there for the camp. There was Vadim Olinik. He's one of the crazy heavyweight, not heavyweight. He can do like a 50 kg muscle up, man. So that's like unreal. So that guy was there. There was another guy called Stipke. He's one of my inspirations. I saw his handstand push-up videos and all, and back in the days, and I was like, damn, you know what, I want to learn this. He was there. There was one guy called Victor Kamenov, Daniel Lizans. He's quite famous in the freestyle scene, so that guy was there. And Gaji Atrov. So many guys. So I think there were 5 coaches, so they were coming down, and this workshop was going to be for 5 days. 5 coaches, 5 days. So I was like, damn, this is a really good learning opportunity for me where I can kind of hone my skills, learn new things. Because in India, nobody was doing calisthenics. I mean, there were people doing calisthenics, but nobody was like kind of
Free to
at an
compare and
international,
compete with.
yeah, to compete with, I would say. So there were few people there, but again, they were just doing it for themselves and things like that. Nobody was teaching like this. So that's when I was like, in Bangalore, nobody's there. So why don't I go there, learn from them, and bring back the teachings? It's like that. So what I did was, I was like, okay, fine. So when I go to UK, I'll go there. So once I went to UK, I booked my ticket for what happened. My friend at that time from India, even he wanted to come for the workshop. So he didn't get a visa approved for Poland, but he got visa approved for Prague. So I booked a ticket for Prague. He also booked a ticket for Prague. We went to Prague. From Prague, we caught a train, go to Poland. When we reached Poland at the station Krakow, the first thing we see is cops catching one guy with his pants and taking him outside. And I'm like, where is this? This weird place we're in. Luckily, we see another brown guy over there, and he approaches us. We are sitting on the steps. He approaches us. He doesn't say hi, hello, nothing. He just points us and he's like, Beast Camp. And we're like, yes, Beast Camp, like caveman, like who discovered fire. And turns out this guy's from Argentina. Oh, not Argentina. He's from Uruguay, South America, and his name was Andres. So he's like, even I'm here for the Beast Camp. So nice, man. I didn't know I would bump into anyone, but luckily you guys also going there. So we were just chatting, exchanging stories. So for this Beast Camp, we had guys from Argentina, Uruguay, Spain, Mexico. There was a guy from Mexico as well, and then some guys from local Poland itself, because Poland is a country that kind of calisthenics is a big scene over there. So in this Eastern European countries, what I have noticed is their grandfathers taught it to their son, like their grandsons and everything. It's a passed on from generation to generation. So finally, they pick us up. They take us to this place in the mountains, and it's a beautiful, gorgeous place. They take us over there. We had a room over there, made some friends over there. So every day our routine was wake up, have breakfast. There's a big dining hall. It's like literally a scene out of Harry Potter where you all sit together. We eat, and
feast.
it was my first time experiencing like Polish cuisine. So they have different flavored teas, for this thing. So have that tea. Then we had breakfast, nice breakfast, everything, some fruits, and we would walk to one school that had a big gymnasium. So the school had a basketball court, and in that basketball court they set up the equipment. So that walk was around 1 kilometer away. So we'd walk from there. Nice. The food also would digest. Reach there. We'll train till afternoon. Come back for lunch. Have lunch. Relax for a bit. Again, go train. Come back in the evening, and we would just chill. There was a nice big backyard. They had a swimming pool and everything. So sit down there. Different again, because there were people from different countries. We would just exchange stories. Beautiful experience that went on for 5 days. So after we finished that, obviously it was really thrilling meeting all these guys. They were my like real life heroes, like seeing these guys do these things. So after learning that, I came back to the UK. I was working over here and doing my fitness certification. After doing that, I came back to India because I was like, I really miss India, and my girlfriend also was there. So the girl I had a crush on finally asked her out, and we've been
That's
together
nice.
now for yeah. So we've been together for now almost 10 years now. So she was here also, and I'm missing her. And more than that, I was like, what, I've learned all these things, but I want to teach it back to my people itself. And that's when I came back, and we started working on making calisthenics be something bigger, something better. So we started organizing more classes. We started organizing workshop once I was back, and they had a competition in Bangalore at Phoenix Market City. That mall is there. They had a competition over there, and there were five guys from our team, our Calisthenics Beast team, that took podium. So my girlfriend was one of them. So in the women's category, she was first place. There were two competitions. She was first place in both of them, and another girl, Anupama, she took second place in one of the competitions. And then some of the guys over there from our team, they also took I think second or third place in a few of the competitions over there. So it was really amazing, and that kind of put us on the map in Bangalore. After that competition, people were like, oh damn, we have guys from our own state itself. So people started approaching us for classes, and it started growing from there. And slowly we found a facility where we could conduct classes. So we found a place in Nanaga Metasphere. We collaborated with them, and we started taking classes over there. But now because of the whole COVID scene and everything, it's kind of just online itself. So again, hopefully once this COVID kind of eases out, the lockdown, things get better, we'll again start having more meetups, more community gatherings and things like that going. But this is where it is at this point in time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful journey. I mean, this was built something out of passion, and just as I mean, there's no
Yeah.
initial goal of starting something as a business, but you guys
Yeah.
got so good that people started approaching you, which really shows that there was something amazing that you guys were doing. So that's really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you talked about a person that you trained. So
Mm.
similarly, as a coach.
Mm.
A trainer, how does it feel when you see someone, you mentioned this before, but how do you feel when somebody picks up and pushes limits, their physical limits, and achieves what they were trying to do?
Man, so as a coach, when you take on, so the thing is, I feel like for me to take on someone, it's not about money. Number one thing, it's about, if I give 100%, are you ready to give 110%? It's like that. Because I don't want someone approaching me half-heartedly, just saying that, I just want to train. Because most of the people, it's like, it's a project. Whenever I train someone, I consider it to be a project. So if they come to me and they tell me, I want to learn to do a handstand, they stick with me for a month. They put in all the effort, but next month when we are making good progress, they just quit on me. I feel really disappointed, because it was something that could have been really beautiful, but they just gave up on it halfway. So I feel really disappointed. But when I see there are my few clients who have stuck with me, who have really persevered with me, they have achieved greatness, man. Like whatever there's, like for example, I was talking about this client of mine. His name is Shatab. So he's still my friend today, really good friend. We keep talking and everything, and he keeps sending me what he's learning and everything. So he's even though he's 35 and everything, he's still a big anime geek. So he's into Naruto and everything. So he just sends me photos. He's wearing his weighted vests and everything. He's like, I'm Rock Lee. So the thing is, when he came to me and he told me, I want to learn the human flag. Again, like I said, other people would have just maybe laughed or thought, this guy is a little bit cuckoo in the head. But I'm like, no, you know what, you want to learn it, fine, let's learn it, but you got to stick with me through the process. Don't question my methods. Just be ready to go the way. So, and I told him, it's going to be a hard journey, but if you're ready to put up with it, we're definitely going to achieve your goals. So we started off with a plan, started working towards it, and slowly, and every day he was there. He showed up every day, no matter what. He would show up, spend that 1 hour with me, whatever I told him. Okay, I told him, see, for the human flag, it's a core exercise. You got to really work that. Okay, so I would make him do different drills, tell him hold this position, and he would be like, ah, shit, it's too much. But still, he would give us 100%,
Yeah.
and I was really proud of that. Started recording his journey as well. So I was like, it's going to really inspire him, because if I show him what he was doing last week and then what he's capable of doing now, he's going to be like, you know what, there is growth.
Yeah.
Because when you do it yourself, you may not see the growth, but somebody who hasn't seen you for a while sees it. They'll be like, damn man, he wasn't able to do that before. How's he doing it now? It's like that. So I started recording his journey slowly, slowly. There's another move called the back lever, where it's like you hold your body in a straight line like this, but from the behind this. So he was like, can I learn that also? And I knew, fine, the human flag is all right, he can learn that. Why don't we start working on this? So slowly, slowly, he in fact learned the back lever before the human flag. And then in 3 months time, slowly, slowly, he was getting it. when we're approaching the end of the third month, that's when one day he just sends me a video. He's in the gym by himself. I was off that day. He just attempts the human flag out of curiosity, and he's able to hold it, and he's shocked. And I'm beyond words at that point, because I'm like, if you see this video, it's unreal. And if you look at, if it's, again, he's not very ripped, he doesn't have like below 10% body fat or anything, but he just stuck with me, built his strength, and he was able to do it. So it's like a proud moment for you as a coach, like this is an
Yeah,
achievement. And I was really happy for him, because he committed to it. He said he wanted to learn it, and he achieved it.
yeah,
So it's a proud moment.
yeah. That's really beautiful. So earlier you mentioned about, we
Mm,
talked about how calisthenic doesn't really require any equipment or very minimum
mm,
equipment.
mm, mm,
But say you are, 1 or 2 years into
mm,
calisthenics and you want to,
mm,
go into an
mm.
advanced mode or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
How can you incorporate, or what are the ways do you incorporate weights into calisthenics, or is there something else?
So again, depending upon what you have available with you, or what you or if you don't have something, depends on that. If you have access to a gym, or you have access to a facility, or if you can afford to buy weights, you can start doing weight training with calisthenics, where you would add on extra weights to your pull-ups, to your dips, to make sure that your body's, the tension, the resistance that you're giving to your bodies is more. After a certain point in time, what happens is your body gets accustomed or adjusted to your own body weight, where you don't grow, you plateau. We call that plateauing, where there is no growth at all. You're just stagnating over there. So from there, when you start doing weight training with calisthenics, you start noticing your strength to improve. You start putting on more muscle also, because obviously body is a smart organism over there. Again, it's like it sees that the resistance or the load, working load, has increased. It needs to incorporate more muscle for that, so it starts growing over there. So your strength improves, you improve your muscle definition and everything, and you're able to do skills of lot of this. Some of the skills, not most of them, some of the skills that I have kind of learned are because of the training that I put in. So I feel like if your fundamentals are strong, those skills is just about holding them in that position. Your body will learn that. It's building muscle memory. You keep doing them more often, you'll build muscle memory, but you need to have the fundamental strength. So the fundamental strength is the base. You need to have that capacity to be able to do that. After that, you just learn the skill. If you don't have weights, what I would say is the best way a person can train or improve themselves is do time under tension, hold that move for a longer time, or slow down your reps. Rather than doing 10 reps, do 5 reps, but each rep you do take 2 to 3 seconds to complete it. What happens is your muscle is being worked for longer. That's one way. Another thing you can do is be explosive with your movements. Learn to fire your muscles in a short duration. Just a split second, you're able to fire all those muscles. So do explosive pull-ups. If you do pull-ups till your chin, try to target your chest. Be really explosive, try to target your chest. If you do normal push-ups, try to do inclined push-ups. So calisthenics, the beauty about it is you play with gravity, you play with angles. So the different angles that you play with kind of make the exercise harder or easier.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when we yeah so
I think
that's
you can
that's
do the
one benefit
push-up
of
thing
calisthenics.
with the inclined push-up you mentioned. You can redistribute your
Yeah,
weight from front and back.
front and back over there. So if you're a beginner, you will keep your hands at a higher height than your legs. If you're an advanced person, you keep your legs at a higher height than your hands. So it's playing with angles over there. And I think that's one way a person with no equipments can grow.
Uh, yeah, and we talked about flexibility
Hmm.
earlier.
Hmm.
How does how what kind of moves help in building this flexibility? Is it because
So
I'm assuming
hmm.
push-ups and
Hmm.
pull-ups, give you strength, but you have to
Hmm.
do some kind of stretching exercises. I'm assuming.
So when it comes to flexibility, the one thing that a person has to keep in mind is what are your goals, what are your current problems with flexibility, and you need to go approach the problem from that kind of view. So just the other day, a friend of mine, he told, like, the thing is, being working out for a long time, sometimes what happens is you kind of get into that mode where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And what happens is, as a trainer, I don't I keep noticing other people's problems that I don't notice my own sometimes. So I kind of see myself. So the other day, my friend was telling me it looks like your pecs are a little bit tight. So what's happening is you're not able to get a good range of motion in your pull-ups over there. So I kind of lean forward over there with my pull-ups. So he told me just stretch your, your pecs out over there. It's going to help you a lot. And again, depending upon the tightness, obviously my issue was with the pecs. So what I was doing is I use different things. So this is one. It's like a cheap kind of massage tool that you can use, and it's a tennis ball. So what I was doing is with a tennis ball, just putting it against the wall, and I was just putting it on my chest and just kind of massaging that muscle over there just to break down tension. So a lot of things you can do is massaging yourself with either foam roller or tennis ball just to break the tightness down, because the body, what happens after a while, because you keep working it out, keep stressing it out, a lot of knots form in your body. You can either go to a professional, get a nice deep tissue massage, but usually these are really expensive. But if not, cheap and best way is to kind of get this tennis ball. You get the foam rollers in Decathlon, you get a lot of good foam rollers, you can use them as well. Stretching wise, always remember, whenever you're doing any static stretches, always make sure you're warmed up and then you're doing them, because number one thing is you don't want to hold a static stretch when you're cold. There are high chances of your muscles snapping, you're getting an injury, a lot of chances. Even in stretching, you can get injury. So you got to make sure stretching is always done at the end of your workout. And this is static stretching, where you don't move, you're just elongating the muscle and holding it in that position. And depends on what workout you have done as well. So if I have done, say, a chest workout, I'm going to experience DOMS if I've done a really intense. So DOMS is basically, it's the soreness that you get after a workout. So the soreness we get is because there's blood pooling in that muscle. That's the reason why we get the soreness. So what we need to do is make sure we do stretches for that particular muscle. So it's not that I'll do a chest day or and then I do a back stretch. Makes no sense. So the stretching has to correspond to the type of workout you have done. And since we were also talking about people in the IT industry who kind of have this postural defects where they have this, their neck is always like this, because again, we are in this age where we keep using our phones. So because of that, our neck is always tilted downwards. Again, we get this hunchback and everything because we're sitting down most of the times in front of the computer. So I advise people at least every 15 minutes, every half an hour, stand up, walk about, and do and stretch your chest out, stretch your chest out. And another thing you can do is strengthen up the muscles at the back, because what happens is the chest pulls your body forward, the back pulls your body backwards, like that. So it's like you got to even out those muscles. So stretch this, strengthen this. And I think few basic routines, I recently started incorporating some yoga in my workouts as well. So at the end, every morning what I do is I do a little bit of breathing, and I do surya namaskaras in the morning. So I think that helps a lot. So in calisthenics itself, you might not have many flexibility workouts. There are just general flexibility workouts that anybody in different fitness aspects can do. If you're an athlete, if you're a bodybuilder, anything, you can still do these exercises. And I would say, if you're in calisthenics or natural body weight itself, if you want to stay kind of fluid and just this thing, I would say try to incorporate a lot of animal movements in your workouts. I do sometimes different, depending upon what I'm training, some animal movements like crawling, maybe an ape walk, or I'll do a crocodile walk, different stuff. So I think that kind of helps your joints move in the full range that it's supposed to, and always make sure that you do the exercises in the full range also. I think that helps you keep that mobility in your joints.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm guessing like these calisthenics stance and these advanced
Mm, mm,
positions require a lot of mind, work. You need
mm.
really high concentration. Uh,
Yeah.
so, uh, so not only calisthenics, helps your body, it probably
Mm,
also really helps your mind. So apart from those stances, do you, like you
mm,
mentioned, yoga? Do you do
mm.
anything else to, help your mind or take care of your mental health, for example?
So especially during this lockdown, what happened was, like, I myself experienced this, where there's slight depression because you're just locked in a cage, you're at home itself, and a lot of my friends have experienced it. So Number one thing I would say is I've been reading some books as well. I think that's helped me a lot to kind of connect with myself. And it again, I think spending some alone time, disconnecting from social media is very important. A lot of us, I think social media in this day and age is the number one cause for depression, suicide. Like we've heard of e-bullying and everything. So I feel like once in a while you just got to disconnect from everything. Give yourself some me time. You can choose to work out, do calisthenics, or you can just choose to relax, read a book. Doesn't matter, whatever makes you happy. It's you got to be able to do that. For me, I found that doing calisthenics, becoming something better than what I was yesterday, kind of helped me, because again, at the end of the day, when you work out, like I said, you get these endorphins pumping to your body. You feel happy, you get that dopamine hit over there, and that keeps you doing more and more. And slowly after some time, I feel like you just get addicted to it. You just and again, being addicted to working out is not a bad thing. You're always going to improve, you're going to learn new things, and from there you develop more healthier habits. Your personality improves, you feel more confident about yourself. And again, that helps you build more friends, because through calisthenics, in fact, when I moved here to the UK, I didn't have many friends, and I'm the kind of person who wouldn't make friends just for the sake of company. The thing is, for me, it's like our mindset should match, that they should be on the same wavelength over there. Because at the end of the day, your company determines or determines who you are. In fact, you hang out with the right people, you're going to be on the right track. Hang out with the wrong people, you're going to be derailed. So I feel like through calisthenics, I was able to meet some really genuine good people over there, because at the end of the day, people who take care of themselves, who look after their body, everything, they're not going to be some bad people over there. They're going to be genuinely good people. So I made some really good friends over here, and now I just started like a small community over here in the place that I'm staying. It's called Swindon. So we started a small community over here, and it's similar to Calisthenic Beast, but we've called it Apex Academy over here, where it's like you can become an apex predator. So it's like that, just be a better version of yourself. So that's sort of a philosophy that we are following over here. Just be limitless, be better. So it's like that. And I think it's helping a lot of people who really want to be a better version of themselves, kind to come forward and experience this sport. And again, like I said, it doesn't always have to be calisthenics. Whatever makes you happy, if you feel like walking, running, whatever it is makes you happy, you kind of have to follow that.
Having
Mm,
tried
mm,
climbing in the
mm,
past, I can
mm,
agree that calisthenics will directly help me improve my
yeah,
arm strength and
yeah.
so on. So what can you talk about some sport that you play, or something outside calisthenics that
Yeah.
you have your hobby or
Uh,
something?
so I'm a jack of all, I would say. The thing is, I like, for me, I'm more of an adventurous guy. So in terms of sports, I do a lot of swimming, I do even climbing as well. So I have a friend in Bangalore, like he has his own academy and everything. So I went to his place and a couple of times over there, and they were hosting a competition once. I just went for that competition. I've never done climbing before, and I just went to the quarterfinals just like that, against these climbers. And it was a proud moment for me, because I just did calisthenics. I'm really proud of my grip strength. And these guys have phenomenal grip strength, man. The strength is in the fingers, man. So for me, I'm like, what? I was able to keep up with them. I'm really happy. That's enough for me. So maybe if I practice a little bit more with their sort of training, I think I can keep up at their level. But with terms of climbing, calisthenics has really helped me. It's just that the technique for climbing may be a little bit different, where you don't always exert your muscles. You kind of hang and let the joints do the work. Other things that I like to do, I would say, I like trekking, man. So I like going for different treks. So in Bangalore, I remember my first trek. I just researched about it. A few friends from college, we go to Skandagiri, and now it's currently banned.
Yeah.
Before it, I think I don't remember if it was banned or what, but we never ran into cops. This was in 2018 or 2017 something. I remember we just went. It was night, it was October time, it was raining or something, I remember. And but we just went over there, and we had a torch, we bought some tandoori chicken, everything, and we go on top, and we have a campfire over there. Everything was dry over there, I mean, sorry, everything was wet over there. What am I saying? Everything was wet over there, all the twigs and all.
Yeah.
We collected everything. We're like, how are we going to light a fire? Luckily, one of my friend was there. This guy had a small bottle of Royal Stag with him. We just, I'm like, hey, before you drink, you give a little bit to us. Put that, we put that on the twigs over there, and light the fire. Just because of that, we lit the fire that night. We had one tent. All of us just cozied up in that tent. We were just sleeping, and we got to see the sunset, man. So I think I enjoy trekking. So trekking is one hobby that I'm really passionate about, and I want to do that over here also because you have beautiful peaks in the UK. You have beautiful mountains over here, and uh, so I've spoken with a couple of guys. So probably, hopefully, summertime will be going. Yeah, and when it comes to sports, I again during college time I played volleyball. I've played football. uh, Now also with my friends, I over here I play basketball sometimes. So it's a mix of everything, man, and I kind of enjoy that. I don't want to be like really good at one thing and ignore everything else. I rather be average or good at be able to play every sport, be able to keep up with every sport, and I enjoy that, in fact.
Yeah, and earlier you talked about turning your passion into a career. You looked at the business
Mm,
aspect of it.
mm, mm, mm,
So having seen the business side in India
mm,
and
mm,
outside, uh,
mm,
would you suggest people who are interested in this field to
mm, mm.
uh, you know go in as or view it as a career opportunity?
Okay, so when it comes to trainer, personal trainer, coach, when we talk about that in India, there's a lot of stigma in India where we consider this person to be a muscle head, gym bhaiya, like that kind of a term is there for the. I feel like we gotta break that. Number one thing is you gotta work on yourself. People have to aspire to be like you. Not so whenever somebody looks at me, I don't want them to see me as a trainer, but rather a coach in all aspects. That is, they want to emulate or they want to kind of replicate what lifestyle I'm following. That is eating, the way I conduct myself as well. So I would say number one thing is you got to have really good communication, because having that knowledge but not being able to communicate what you want to say is of no use. So you got to be able to communicate, and you have to conduct yourself very professionally you can't just be very what do you say, unprofessional when it comes to dealing with people. You got to be punctual. The lot of ethics that you got to keep in mind.
Because people
And
can injure themselves very easily.
injure
So
themselves, and you got to have knowledge about anything that you teach. If you do not have the knowledge, that's fine. Don't you don't have to give a fancy exercise to your client just to impress them. First try it on yourself, see if you have the knowledge, see if you have understood it, and then only recommend it to your client. And it's a very cutthroat industry, wherein if you're not the best or if you're not good, people will not come to you. Obviously pricing is one thing, but excuse me, but at the end of the day, if you're not the best at something, they're not going to come to you. I feel like if you look at it in this way, so again, people say that I don't have money to afford that certification, I can't do that, this thing, and all that. I feel that's fine, not an issue at all. Work on your experience, work on that skill, sharpen that skill. A lot of people nowadays, they have money for certifications, they can pay like that only. But when it comes to the experience, that in-depth knowledge of how to do that certain thing, zero. Olden days, if you looked at it, if you look at a gurukula, if you look at a yogi, if you wanted to learn yoga, would you go to a yogi and ask him, do you have a certificate, are you a professional? You won't. You will see his experience, you will see what he's capable of doing, and then you will be like, can you teach me? But nowadays the world has changed. It's like, do you have certificate? Are you certified? Are you professional? Are you this thing? I feel like that's important in a way to prevent scams and things like that. But in a way, you got to look at the experience of the person.
yeah.
Is he able to deliver his goods to you? Will you benefit from it? Then only kind of pick a trainer. And I think picking this as a career option, only if you're serious, you're ready to go the way, because there are going to be and there are going to be times when you may not even get one client also, but you got to be really hungry. You got to really go out there and show yourself to the world, because if you don't show yourself to the world, nobody's going to know who you are, and they're not going to pick you as a trainer. So I would say as long as you're willing to put in that hard work, you have a proper plan in mind. Like I said, plan everything out. If you have a plan in mind, go for this. If not, trust me, this isn't the path for you. And I don't want to discourage, say it in a negative way. I'm just looking out for you as a person, because I know I've been through this journey. I know there are times when I felt like, why am I doing this? Just get a regular, job and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're ready to put in that work, if you're ready to put in that effort, you have the plan, then you're going to make it.
Earlier, you mentioned, this workout and in general fitness involves,
Mm,
both
mm,
working out and, good
mm,
diet and
mm.
eating healthy. So can you
Mm.
talk about your nutrition plan and how you started with, from the beginning and how it's evolved
Yeah.
over time?
So the reason I'm laughing is because my nutrition is a joke, to be honest.
Just
Uh,
eating chips.
so so how it started off is because my when I started working out, I would make different, not I wouldn't make myself, I would just make simple things to eat, for my breakfast. One simple meal that I had was overnight oats, and I still have it today. If people are watching the podcast, they laugh over that because they know I still eat that today. So they're like, this guy hasn't changed. So what I do is I take oats. I add like Bonvita, Horlicks, whatever chocolate powder we get in India. I used to put that by one banana, dates, dry fruits, and I would put milk and just leave it in the fridge. And peanut butter and milk. Leave it in the fridge overnight. Next day morning, it's really soft, gooey, and sticky. So it's like really tasty. And I never got bored of it. It was so good. That was my breakfast. Lunch and dinner, I would eat whatever was cooked at home. So sometimes it was rice, sometimes it was chapati. We had non-veg three to four times a week, and then vegetables the other times. And also that time when I was in university. But after that, I started to, you know again, lean more towards the vegetarian side, because again, not from like a cruelty kind of aspect, but more towards an environmental aspect, because again, seeing these different documentaries and stories that, the carbon footprint that we are leaving on this planet, that I decided, okay, fine, let me lean more towards the vegetarian side. I would still eat eggs, things like that, but I stopped milk. So now, even now, I hardly take milk. Maybe if the milk that I'm using, so I use sometimes almond milk, soya milk, cashew milk, things like that. Rice milk is there, so I use those kind of milks now. But if that's over, then only maybe a rare occasion that I'll just have regular milk over the dairy.
And it's
But
no way a
uh,
disadvantage, I'm assuming.
I'm not really. No, I haven't found, to be honest with you, I went vegan for 1 month in 2019. I remember going vegan for 1 month. And I, in fact, I lost 4 kgs in that month because I was only eating vegetarian. But in fact, I actually got a lot stronger than I was before. Now, I'm not saying that it's an isolated incident or anything like that, but this is for talking from my personal
Yeah.
experience. And the thing is, I couldn't sustain it for a long time because I was dropping so much weight, and I didn't want to drop too much weight. But I, again, keeping that thing in mind, I just would have non-veg. I would have mainly my non-veg also. I have chicken sometimes. Mainly, I eat fish. I'm a huge fan of fish. Being brought up in Goa, my mom's side of family is Goan, so fish is like a staple. So I can't give up on fish. So, so I go buy fish. I fry fish. I make curry, thing like that. So I'm like, fish is one thing I can't give up on. So I would have that. And I was staying with my grandmom only that time. In 2009, I was only staying with my grandmom. So she is a pakka vegetarian. My dad's side of the family, so only vegetables at her place. So I would go eat vegetables at her. Sometimes I would crave chicken. I'll go, buy one grilled chicken, things like that. Only thing I would say is, when it comes to nutrition, don't overcomplicate things. Keep it simple. Good nutritious food minus less junk food is equal to, best. So I would say, people always ask me, should I have whey protein? Should I have this supplement? Things like that. Now, the word itself, supplement, means if you're lacking it, supplement it. If you're getting good food at home, which is nutritious, rich in protein, everything, you don't need to. If this is a normal person, if your goal is to I want to put on so much muscle, blah, 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 then okay, fine, then you can have it, but do your research about it. The thing is, a lot of the trainers nowadays, if you look at it, they work on commission. They
Yeah,
sell
it's more of
you
an
a protein.
advertisement. Yeah.
It's an advertisement. They tell you, you want to work out with me, buy this protein first. Make what? What's it? It makes no sense, you know. So the thing is, it's like, again, it's like they want to just put out, get their commission out there, that's why they sell it. But I tell people, only if you need it, I'll tell you to do it. If I have tried it, I'll tell you to do it. Even if I've not tried it, I'll suggest it, provided it's something that you require. If you don't require it, what's the point of having it, you know? I feel like the more natural food that you eat, the better, because you get a lot of other things from the natural food. If you're somebody who doesn't have time to cook, okay, fine, understandable. In that case, makes sense. If you're somebody who lives in a PG, you're not having access to this kind of foods, fine, no issues. Only those situations. But apart from that, if you have the ability to cook good food at home, nutritious food at home, I would say avoid supplements. The only supplements that I usually take, and this again I've kind of stopped right now, is fish oil capsules. That again is for my joint health. Because of calisthenics, you got to really be careful of your joints and everything. So I take fish oil capsules, but that again, because I have fish at home, I kind of stop that. So I would say, when it comes to nutrition, keep it simple, eat good nutritious food at home, and keep portion control for your goals. If you want to reduce your weight, calorie deficit. If you want to, people say, oh, I gotta do keto diet, this thing. Keep it simple. If you look at Muslim brothers, Ramzan, keep it like that, simple. Fast, do
Enjoy
intermittent
your food.
fasting, enjoy your food, fast for that time. Later eat, but don't eat too much. It's like, keep your diet in control. That's it. I would say, don't complicate it. Don't keep counting every gram. Oh shit, I ate this much rice, I ate
Yeah.
100-gram rice, 200. Don't do that nonsense, trust me. Because the thing is, with anything in life, the more hard it is, the less difficult it is to sustain. The easier it is, you're going to keep it for a long time. It's going to become a lifestyle. So do that, I would say.
Yeah, going back to, you as a coach,
Mm.
can you share some other success stories, if you have any recent ones, especially during this pandemic, through online or something, uh, if there are any?
Oh yes. So I had this one guy over here in the UK. This is in the UK itself. So I had a client who was he was into break dancing before, but then he suddenly quit. And the thing is, because of his job and everything, he couldn't spend time, put on a lot of weight and everything. So he had met me in the gym once, long time back, and he again wanted to get back into training. So he wanted to do calisthenics only because he liked it. So he wanted to learn muscle ups. I told him, just order this pull-up bar from home, and you can use it at home itself. So I started him off on some lot of like endurance kind of workouts, so that he builds his stamina up and all, because he was a break dancer before, but because he took a break, it might be lacking right now. So kind of got his stamina back to a point where he was before. And from there, slowly we started working on his muscle ups. He wanted to learn muscle ups. I was like, all right, fine, I'll teach you muscle ups, no issues at all. First thing we did was we started working on his pull-ups, so started getting more explosive on his pull-ups, because he could do pull-ups, but he wasn't very explosive. So we started working on getting his pull-ups to his chest level, so using a resistance band to kind of help him get that height and everything. And from there, what we did was we started working on, there's a transition for a muscle up. So from going from bottom of the bar to getting to the top of the bar, there's a transition. So I started teaching him that transition. There he had little difficulty. I told him, every day, at least 3 times you practice, every day, 3 times practice whenever you get time. So he would just keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. And in 1 month, he got his muscle up, just by doing this, just this consistent work. And it was so surprising, because this guy was 97 kilos. 97 kilos. Not very tall guy, but a little bulk guy he was. And to see him do that was really this thing, shocking. And for me, it was amazing. But if somebody else saw him do that, they'll be like, oh man, how is this guy moving like this? So that was a nice, like an online achievement, I would say, where I'm not even with that person, but yet I was able to get them to do that. Like that, I've had one guy from Mangalore also. This guy, he's in the IT industry only, and because of the pandemic, working from home, he was staying in his there was a family house in Mangalore, and he set up a pull-up bar in his backyard in the near the field over there. So he used to video call me, even though the internet connection was really bad, really poor. It would reconnect many times because of WhatsApp call. We still kept going, and he wanted to achieve a back lever. So that guy also, from zero to getting what he got, the back lever was really amazing. Again, it's like, I would say, you just got to have that conviction. You just got to see what you want to achieve and have that faith that working together, you're going to achieve that. Because when it comes to training, people think that, oh, my coach is going to do all the work for me. It's not like that. It's like, it's a teamwork. So me working with that person together, again, 100% energies from both sides, that's what's going to give us that result at the end. And I think that's very important.
Uh, for the listeners, if they are interested, or if they haven't tried any kind of workout before, do you have like a simple workout suggestion, maybe involving a very few simple workout
Sure.
that you could
Yeah,
suggest?
sure. So what you can start off with, number one is, first thing is, let's say for your warm up, you're going to do maybe jogging on the spot. If this is for your home, let's talk about pandemic now because of
Yeah.
lockdown. Jogging on the spot, jumping jacks, high knees, butt kicks, and then you can end it with a 20-second sprint. Everything that you're doing, 20 seconds, you keep it. Yeah, that's your warm up. You're going to start with your joint mobility. You're going to do neck rotations, arm rotations, forward and back, warm up your shoulder, hip rotations. So basically, moving your joints. Again, spend no more than 5 minutes on this. After completing this, for your main workout, this is again a beginner routine. Those of you who want to get into calisthenics, what you can do is grab yourself a towel. If you don't have a towel, if you can order yourself a pull-up bar on Amazon or on from Decathlon, that's fine. You can do that. If not, those who don't have it, no issues at all. Grab yourself a towel. What you can do is lie down on the floor on your stomach, hold the towel in front of you, and you're replicating a pull-up. So pull the towel to your chest, take it back forward over there. Best exercise to again work on your back, get those muscles activated. For those of you who can get the pull-up bar, you can set the pull-up bar at your hip height, or I would say your stomach height. Go under the bar, and again replicating a pull-up. So you would be in a straight line under the bar. You're just pulling your body to the bar, taking it back down. So you should pull it up to your chest if you can. Those of you who can't do it with your legs straight, you can bend your knees and then try to do it. That's another very simple exercise that you can do. This is for your back. For your chest, what you can do, for those of you who are beginners, can start off with push-ups. For push-ups, what you can do is on the wall, you can do wall push-ups. So just lean against the wall. You can start off with that. Second level is go to your bed, put your hands on your bed, legs on the floor. You can do push-ups on that, a little bit more inclined. And then finally, once you're able to do, I would say 10 reps on the bed, you're able to do 3 sets easily, go to the floor. You can start off again. If it's difficult, you can start with your knees. You can be on your knees. Make sure you maintain a straight line. So your knees, your hips, your shoulders should be in one line itself. You can start with push-ups over there. Again, try to do 10 to 15. If you're able to do that, keep one leg straight, one leg bent, advance over there. Again, once that's done, go for both the legs straight. So there you achieved a final push-up. If you want to do dips, I would recommend 2 chairs. You can keep 2 chairs, and start off with that. You can keep your legs on the floor for little assistance. But if that's hard, then you can first learn the push-ups itself and then go for this. Another dip variation that you can do is you keep the chair on the like with the back of the chair on the wall so that it doesn't move behind. Keep your hands on the chair and your butt is just cross the chair. It's not sitting on the chair, just cross the chair, and you're doing dips over there where you move your hands down and then push back up. So that's a very simple dips workout. And for the legs, what you can do is you can start off with squats. Best way to see if you're doing squats in the right way is stand facing the wall and try to do a squat.
So your back is
Automatically your butt will start going backwards because you have to make adjustments for that. So you should face the wall and then start doing the squat. So you can may start off with 10 reps, and between every 10 reps you can do a wall sit. So go sit with your back against the wall so that it gives you an active rest. So I would say you can do 3 sets of these very good exercises. You can do lunges, one more beautiful exercise you can do in your house, don't require much space. And lastly, for your hamstrings, you can do hamstring bridges or glute bridges, where you lie down, you bend your knees, and then keep your heels pressed on the floor, and you try to lift your hip up. Only your upper back is going to touch the floor. You try to lift your hip up, hold over there, again back down, lift your hip. So that's going to work on your glutes and your hamstrings. And last thing, your calves. For your calves, the best thing you can do is calf raises. You can either do on the ground level or keep an elevated platform and do on that. And again, the position of the feet, it can be like this, it can be inwards, outwards. You're targeting the whole calf muscle over there. Very simple, keep it very simple. There's a very simple exercise you can do. I would say 3 sets of each thing that I've told you. If you do and you do 10 reps, it'll take you 45 minutes to complete this entire workout, and at the end of the day you'll be feeling really good, because you have done an entire body workout over there.
Yeah, and the
So
blood is,
try, so try it
flowing
out. Yeah.
everywhere, and you're all pumped up as well.
Absolutely. And it's a very simple workout as well. So you guys can definitely do it and try it out and see. And you can recommend it to you can get even your family involved, because it's not very difficult. You can get your family, you can make it a group thing, a family bonding thing only over there. Whoever's at home, grandpa, grandma, father, mother, whoever's at home, get them involved in it. And like I said, it's very simple, and you should make it fun. You should make it enjoyable. Fitness, a lot of people see it as something, like
Like a work.
disciplinary, like a very, like a work, they like tedious, but if you make it fun, you'll enjoy it and you'll stick with it.
Yeah, I
So
think.
that's all. That's the best thing I can say about it.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about calisthenic, that it's not just a workout, but it's so much fun. Especially if you have the chance to do it outdoors, close to a
Outdoors,
forest or something.
outdoors, outdoors with a group. If you have a good community with you, I'm telling you, I went yesterday to the gym with my friends, and we were working out. And the thing is, one guy will come, hey, see, I learned this. Another guy come, oh yeah, let me also try that, and then the next guy comes, let me also try that. It just keeps going. By the time you know it, 1 hour has passed, you have finished an entire workout, and you don't even know, like you won't even be in that mode where you're like, oh shit, it was too hard, nothing like that, because you're in that zone, you're flowing basically. And when you're flowing, you lose track of time, and you just have fun with it. So I would say, make your workouts fun, get your friends, family involved, and build a community and work out like that. One second, I'm middle of a podcast. Well, okay, that was fun.
It's okay. Do you have to go? Is it okay?
That's fine, man. That's fine. That's all right. It's
Cool.
just that I think they've cooked food and everything, so they're just like, okay,
Oh, so
that's all right, man. That's all right.
you haven't had lunch, I'm assuming?
No, man, no, not really, no. So I usually eat late, though. I usually eat late. So I had a heavy. We in fact made masala dosa today.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we made masala dosa today for breakfast. So we had that, and I was full. So I was like, okay, I'll finish the podcast and then I'll go have lunch.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
Mm,
things to have. Yeah, so the following, are some common
mm,
questions that I ask all
yeah,
of my guests. There's some
yeah,
general questions. So,
yeah.
yeah, you talked about this a bit earlier, but what are you
Mm,
currently working on? Both in with calisthenics in your life.
mm.
What's happening?
So right now, in my life, I am actually working as an engineer at a pharmaceutical company. The reason being because all the gyms were closed due to the lockdown and everything, so I couldn't really work as a personal trainer. And I still do my online training. I still train, coach people online. I still run my online business. But because of that, I was like, just to sustain, because again, you're living abroad, the rent and everything, got to take care of that. So I was like, I started working as an engineer in a pharmaceutical company. Really chilled out job actually. So not much pressure, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be so tired that I can't focus on my passion at the same time. And I think Dwayne Johnson said, like one of his quotes, that after you finish your 9 to 5, if you don't give time for your passion, is that really your passion? So I'm like, I that really resonates with me, and I'm like, you know what, I have to give time to my passion. So after I finish my work, I come back, freshen up, go start with my clients. If I have clients for that day, start training them. If not, go to the gym, work on myself, improve myself, and try to shoot content and things like that. Because I recently just started my YouTube channel as well. I just revived one of my old YouTube channels, and I'm posting vlogs and stuff like that, content that might be beneficial to people, and have a positive impact in people's life. So that's what I'm doing in terms of my this job. And again, side by side, again with the calisthenics scene, I just started with a new community over here, start building on that. So we are promoting that and trying to get the people, because in the UK, not many people are aware of what calisthenics really is. It's kind of budding over here. It is quite popular in other places like London and that side, but the town that I'm staying, it's not very popular. So I'm doing my best with another friend of mine to grow the, what to say, popularity of calisthenics in this town over here. So hopefully it grows from there and picks up from there.
You mentioned reading earlier that you picked up during a pandemic. So
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
suggest or name some books that bring value to you?
So the first book that helped me in my business journey, I would say, is The Personal MBA. So that's by Josh Kaufman, I think that is. So I recommended this book to a lot of people, and they found benefit from it. Another book that I recently read is Ikigai. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard
uh,
of.
really amazing book, really amazing book. I think a lot of principles from that book that I kind of currently applying with not only the diet part of it, because they talk a lot about diet and the things that centurions usually eat, and the thing about that, and but also about the things that they do in their lifestyle where they follow their passion, the flow state of mind, you know, that really helps you. And also having the sense of community, so that I picked up from that book. And a few other ones I would say is can't remember top, but there's this one book that I really liked, was called The 48 Laws of Power. That's also an amazing read if you guys can pick it up. And usually I like reading novels also, some thriller novels and things like that. So uh, these are some of the few books that I would recommend, yeah, that you can pick up: The Personal MBA, 48 Laws of Power, and Ikigai.
Great. And you talked about many ideologies or kind of
Yeah,
uh, things that motivate you, in
yeah,
working out and in life in general.
yeah,
So can you
yeah.
talk about some values in life that you think are important?
I would say having a good sense of purpose. You need to know why you are doing what you're doing. I feel like if you do something without purpose, it's not going to bear fruit. The reason why I'm doing calisthenics is I know it. It's to help others. It's to make sure that I'm able to make somebody else's life better. That is physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is. But through calisthenics, I use calisthenics as an instrument to kind of make that person's life better. Another thing I would say, a value that a person needs to have is honor. Like, you need to have a sense of honor when you do anything. Are you doing the right thing? Is it going to help others? Can you protect someone? Can you do something? you know and always as long as you know that you are on the right path, that's enough. Even if others, if 100 people are on the wrong path, doesn't mean that you have to stray from your goal, your ideologies. Always stick to your ideologies, stick to your principles. And always, I feel like you need to always, my kind of, what do you say, listen to others also, but always reflect on whether you have to take that opinion or not. Because I'm friends with people with different opinions. Like nowadays, if you look at it, the internet is full of turmoil, so much negativity. But as long as you're somebody who's not swayed by different opinions, you're able to think clearly for yourself, reflect on what they say, and see if it makes sense or doesn't. I think that's more than enough. you know I think that's all you need. And lastly, like I said, whatever you do, give it 100%. Whatever you do in life, give it 100%. Don't go half-heartedly. The thing is, there will be times, I personally, there will be times when there will be so much failure in your life, you'll just feel miserable. But if you stick through it, trust me, there's nothing you can't conquer. It's like how I got my girlfriend, how I started Calcic Beast, everything. So I'm a big believer in this
Yeah, living
persistence. It's
example.
like being living examples. I'm like, being really persistent, you're going to get what you want. So always have that drive and never give up on that.
Uh, yeah. So finally, where can people find out more about you and connect to you? I'm assuming you're running an online
Um,
workout plan right now?
Yes,
Pretty
yes.
suggested.
So I would say the best place you can get in. There are three places you can get in touch with me. I mean, two places. You can either get in touch with me on Instagram. My phone number, everything is linked over there, and I think you can put my
Yeah,
Instagram
definitely.
handle over there. So it's the Flying Wolf, Flying underscore Wolf, Ashwin Haridas. You can find me there, or you can find us on Calisthenic Beast. That's in Bangalore itself. That's our another Instagram. That's our page itself, Calisthenic Beast. I also have a website called Cali with Ash. So my WhatsApp is linked over there, so you can see some of my clients' testimonials, and you can see some of their progressions over there, how they have progressed, and just a budding website over there, just a small thing like a passion project that I've created. So if you're interested in learning calisthenics, not only for me, my girlfriend also, she's a coach as well, so from Hema, so she teaches a lot of in fact she's helped a lot more people than I have. And and my community is, especially, we have got a lot of lovely coaches working with us, who again started off as, just learning the thing for the passion, but then inspired to teach others and help others. So if you're somebody who's interested, want to grow, want to learn calisthenics, or just have a conversation with me as well, just DM me on my Instagram, and I would love to help you out.
Great. So this was, really fun and insightful conversation. I do practice calisthenics, but I think now I have more pointers and motivation
Oh,
to continue.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, so thank you so much, for taking time to speak with me, and hopefully,
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you for having me as well.
no, thank you so much. Hopefully, you're not too hungry. I've taken your lunchtime, I must say.
No, not at all, not at all, not at all, man. I think it's worth the wait. The food's going to be much more tastier when you wait for it.
Great. Thank you again.
And anyways, you too, Nitin. Thank you so much for having me. Hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you everyone whoever is going to watch this podcast. Yeah, see
Yeah.
you. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.